We're in the third chapter of Teshuvah, which we began last week a little bit. What is the definition of a tzaddik? And what is the definition of a rasha? Righteous and evil people. And last time we discussed this, we had all kinds of fantastical answers based on Chassidut, based on Kabbalah, Here is halakha. What does halakha say? Kol echad ve'echad mibnei ha'adam, every single human being, yesh lo zechuyot ve'avonot. He has both merits and demerits, mitzvot and averot. Mi shezechuyotav yiterot al avonotav, anyone who has more zechuyot than avonot, tzaddik, he's righteous. Mi she'avonotav yiterot al zechuyotav, and anyone who has more averot than he has zechuyot, he is a rasha. Mechza lemechza, if he's half and half, 50-50, benoni, he's in the middle category. He's stuck in the middle.
Sounds kind of like Perkiyot.
Yes. וכן המדינה, and so to a country, אם היו זכויות כל יושביה מרובות על עוונותיהן, הרי זאת צדקת. If a country, the majority of its actions are good, then it's a tzaddik country. עוונותיהן מרובין, הרי זו רשעה. And if it's not, then it's an evil country. וכן כל העולם כולו. And that's true with the whole entire world. Meaning, like when you find the generation of Noach, the world is being destroyed because they're evil. Yeah, but Noach was around too. Yeah, but the majority of the world was evil. And the world gets destroyed for being a majority evil. But if the majority of the world is good, then that's why it can still continue to exist. So what do I tell you about the world today?
Not in good shape.
Sometimes that we hopefully have more good people than bad people. Okay, I'm skipping the next one. Gimel. No, let's read this one, but don't get upset. Bet. Adam שעוונותיו מרובין זכויותיו, a person who has more avirot than mitzvot, miyad hu met berish'o. He immediately dies from his avirot. וכן מדינה שעוונותיה מרובין, מיד היא עובדת שנאמר. And a country that has more avirot than mitzvot immediately gets destroyed. וכן כל העולם כולו, אם עוונותיהם מרובים וזכויותיהם מיד הן נשחטין. And if the whole world has more avirot than mitzvot, the world gets destroyed. ושיקול זה אינו לפי מניין הזכויות והעוונות, אלא לפי גודלן. And when you count these mitzvot and these avirot, it doesn't go based on a number. He does this many mitzvot and this many avirot. Rather, it goes based on the number as well as the quality of these mitzvot and avirot. There are some avirot which are not, they're bad, but they're not as bad as other avirot. And there are some mitzvot which are good, but they're not as good as other mitzvot. יש זכות שכנגד כמה עוונות. There's a one mitzvah that's worth a number of avirot. ויש עוון שכנגד כמה זכויות. There's one avirah that can cancel out a few mitzvot. ואין שוקלין אלא בדעתו של אל דעות. And the only one who can determine this is the God who knows how to determine these things. והוא היודע האח אורחין הזכויות כנגד העוונות. And he knows which mitzvah and which avirah is worth how much. So not like you can take a person and say, hey, how many mitzvot you did today? How many avirot you did today? Oh, you're good, you're bad. That's not how it works. There are mitzvot and avirot that are qualitatively different than each other. Like when our HaShamayim tell us, this part of the Siddur, I don't know if it's right. אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור. These are things that have no measure. הפאה והביקורים והרעיון וגמילות חסדים ותלמוד תורה. The corner of the field, the first fruit, the pilgrimage, bestowing kindness and the study of Torah. אלו דברים שאדם עושה אותם ואוכל מפירותיהם בעולם הזה והקרן קיים לעולם הבא. These are the things that when a person does them, he benefits from their fruits in this world, and the principle remains for the next world. Ve'eluhen, these are them. Kibud avim, respecting your parents. Gilut chasadim, doing acts of kindness. Bikur cholim, visiting the sick. Hachnasat ochim, hosting those who need a place. Hashkamat bet hakneset, waking up to go to the bet hakneset. Ve'havad shalom ben adam lechaveron, bringing peace between a person and his friend. Uven ish leishto, and between a husband and his wife. V'talmud Torah keneged kulam, and the study of Torah is equal to all of those mitzvot we just mentioned. Meaning, a person who studies Torah is greater than the respecting of the parents and doing chasadim and visiting the sick and hosting the ill and going to the Beit Knesset and bringing peace between people. It doesn't mean you don't do those mitzvot. It means don't think you brought peace between two people. That's a big mitzvah, but learning Torah is bigger.
You learn Torah, then you would do those things because
No, it's not here to tell you. It's not here to tell you do this and not that. Rather, understand that qualitatively, the learning of Torah accomplishes greater. Brings about a greater level of mitzvot than other things. There are other averot, for example, that are worse. They can cancel out many mitzvot. Our rabbis tell us that anybody who walks for 4 steps in the land of Israel, all their averot are forgiven. Now,
It's amazing.
you might have to think about this. What does that mean? You do all the averot you want and go for a walk in Israel and come back home? What it tells you is that being in Eretz Yisrael is a greater mitzvah than many of the averot that you think.
Where's that?
And Talmud, Masech Ketubot, if I'm not mistaken. People think it's like, wow, we do all mitzvot to live in America. Maybe not. Maybe it's not the way. Maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't judge things the way that you judge things. The Gemara, Masech Ketubot. The Gemara says that a person who has a choice. You can live in Eretz Yisrael, in a city where everybody worships Avodah Zarah. Moshe, come close. Come to the table. I don't like when people move around. Move the chair down. You sit where you were sitting before. Very good. If you have a choice to live in Eretz Yisrael, in a city where everybody is idol worshippers, or to live outside of Eretz Yisrael, in a city where everybody doesn't worship idols, where they worship Hashem, what should you choose?
Eretz
Yisrael. It's better to live in Eretz Yisrael, in a city where everyone is idol worshippers, than to live outside of Eretz Yisrael, in a city where everybody worships Hashem.
I thought you have to destroy a city if everyone worships.
That's the Gemara is telling you here a message. A husband and wife, one of them wants to go to Eretz Yisrael, and the other one doesn't want to go. The one who wants to go wins, and they go. The other one doesn't have to stay together. You live in a Judaism which is a product.
Well, I thought you said you could force the other one to go.
You
Not-
could,
not that
but
you-
if they
now
don't,
it sounds like
if they
you're-
don't want to go, they go even without a ketubah. I mean, you don't have to. Let's say a man wants to go and his wife doesn't want to go, so normally you have to get divorced, pay her a ketubah. Not if he wants to go to Eretz Yisrael and she doesn't want to go. She forfeits her right to the ketubah.
I see. Interesting.
Other way around too. She'll have to give him his. He'll have to give her a ketubah if she wants to go and he doesn't want. A ketubah is part of the get. In order to give a get, you have to pay the ketubah.
I'll pay it.
We live in a world which is a byproduct of radical Ashkenazi anti-Zionism. The Orthodox community essentially is based off of this movement. In which case, anything that has to do with too much about Eretz Yisrael has been taken out. And then from the secular side of the Jewish coin, anything that comes off too nationalistic for the Jewish people has also been taken out. And so because of that, a lot of the teachings that used to be for thousands of years about Eretz Yisrael, you don't hear them anymore in the Jewish community. Because from two different directions, it's kind of like a man who had a wife, two wives. The Gemara has, I think it's a Gemara. It's an old Mashah, could be it's not even Jewish. I remember reading it somewhere. A man had two wives. One was a young wife and one was an old wife. And the young wife didn't like all of his white hair, so she used to pull them out. And the older wife didn't like all of his black hairs and make her feel old, so she pulled out all his black hair. So they say he came out bald because of this one and bald because of that one. Meaning both of them made him bald. Sometimes you find yourself stuck in the middle of two forces that are hell bent on accomplishing their task, and we end up being bald. We end up losing out on something we should have had. כל מי שניחם על המצוות שעשה ותהה על הזכויות, anyone who, how do you translate the word nichem? It's like he regrets the mitzvot that he did. ואמר בליבו ומה הועלתי בעשייתן, what good was it for me that I did all these mitzvot? הלוואי לא עשיתי אותן, I wish I didn't do my mitzvot. הרי זה איבד את כולן. Says the Rambam, he loses all of his mitzvot. ואין מזכירים לו שום זכות בעולם, שנאמר וצדקת הצדיק לא תצילנו ביום רשעו, אין זה אלא בתועל הראשונות. Says the pasuk that the righteousness of a righteous man will not be reminded for him in the day of his evil. Says the Rambam, that's a person who says, I regret all the mitzvot that I did. You regret mitzvot, you can forfeit your mitzvot.
As a neder, I mean, it doesn't have to be something binding. What if he was like drunk or angry or
yeah, it was a person
or has mental illness of some sort?
I'm not talking about here. A person who knows what they're doing, is thinking what they're thinking, and they said, I wish I didn't do all these mitzvot. It's wasted my life.
Do you know anyone like that? Ever hear of a situation?
People would come up in choruses.
Yeah, somebody maybe at a certain point in his life decides
converts to Christianity or crazy.
Oh, denies his Jewish.
Yeah.
The person says there's some famous rabbis that at a certain point they left Judaism entirely, meaning all those years of righteousness will not last for them. The zechuyot don't stick around forever. Zechuyot stick around when you maintain your zechuyot. Well, they say like your muscle. Don't use them, you lose them. This is the same thing with zechuyot. וכשם ששוקלין זכויות אדם ועוונותיו בשעת מיתתו. And just this gets us exactly to where we need in Teshuvah. Just like they weigh a person's mitzvot and avirot at the moment when he dies, כך בכל שנה ושנה שוקלין עוונות כל אחד ואחד מבאי עולם עם זכויותיו ביום טוב של ראש השנה. So to every year of a person's life, they do this calculation of a person's mitzvot versus their avirot, and that is the holiday of Rosh Hashanah. So yes, there's this final tally, so to speak, before we pass away. But every year along the way, there is a time where we are, all our mitzvot and avirot are accounted for. Mi shenimtza tzaddik, and someone who comes out to be righteous. So how do we define righteous at the beginning of the chapter?
Or
Someone who the majority of their actions were good. Rasha is when the majority of the actions are bad.
so
And the Rambam says again, it's not quantitatively necessarily; it's also qualitatively. There's certain mitzvot that they do that they're obviously more severe than the avirot, or vice versa. Nechtam nechaim, he's sealed in the book of life. Yes.
Is this anything to do with the whole Benoni, Russia, Tzaddik?
Yeah, it is. That's what we started off the sure. But what the Tanya brings as examples is not accurate in halacha. Umish nimtza rasha, the someone who comes out to be evil, nechtam lemita, is decided for death. That benoni, what about that middle person? What is the middle person? Someone who?
Even scale.
Yeah, the half the actions are good, half the actions are bad. Tolino to ad Yom Kippurim. He gets an extension of his trial until Yom Kippurim. Im asa teshuvah, nechtam nechaim. If he did teshuvah, then he's signed for life. Vim lav, nechtam lemita. If not, not. From here you find this idea that in the 10 days of Teshuvah, people do all kinds of things they don't do the rest of the year. They get certain kinds of zechuyot that you normally are not particular about the rest of the year. Yeah, a silly example I can think of. Not silly, just one that's not like, wow, that's amazing. Malan writes that certain people that are careful, they don't mind the whole year eating bread that comes from Pachel Goyim. By the 10 days of Teshuvah, they're particular. The bread they eat should all be Pat Yisrael. It's a small detail of a Chumah. But certain things, and it's not considered hypocritical if on these 10 days you're on your best behavior. It's kind of like when a person's in court. You want to act nicer, you dress nicer than you normally dress. You're trying to convince that this is who I really am. I'm really this kind of tzaddik, and the rest of the time, it's just a mistake. And that is what Rosh Hashanah is. So Rosh Hashanah is Rosh Hashanah for tzaddikim or reshayim. Both of them are decided on Rosh Hashanah. Someone who's a benoni, someone who, and we assume that most people are benonim. Most people are in this category of, you can't say they're evil or righteous, they're in the middle somewhere, they struggle like everybody else. That's what Yom Kippurim is for. Yom Kippurim is a time where we say, hey, we need to actually, we're not Rishayim, we're not Tzaddikim, this day is for us. And the Rambam continues says, Af al pi, shetkiyat shofar berosh Hashanah, gzerat hakatuv. Even though, why do we blow a shofar on Rosh Hashanah? What does it say in the Torah? What does it say in the Torah? That's the Amidah. What do we say?
You sound the chauffeur.
Yeah, the Torah say what?
It just says to do it.
Yeah, very good. Torah just says on this day you blow a shofar. Zim. Why? Rambam says this is a gzera. The pasuk told us that you have. It's kind of like the red heifer. You do what it says. That's what we do.
It's a chok.
But remez yesh b'davar. Says the Rambam. Remez yesh bo. There may be some kind of allusion here, some idea that you can. It's not the reason why we blow the shofar, but you could say that it's a reason possibly why we blow the shofar. Klomar uru yeshenim mishnatchem. Wake up, you sleepy people, from your slumber. V'nirdamim hakitzu midardamatchem. And those of you who are fast asleep, wake up from your sleep. V'chipsu b'maasachem. And search through your actions. V'chazru b'tshuvah. And do tshuvah. V'zichru b'orachem. And remember your Creator. Shofar blows is meant to wake you up. Wake up! What do you... How could you be... It says here during the Tkiyat Shofar, they're twiddling their thumbs. But Shofar is supposed to... It's like a... Wake up! Wake up, realize your life. What do you mean? What does he say? What kind of people is the shofar trying to wake up? Ela shokchim et ha'emet. These are the people who forget the truth, behavalei hazman, because of the nonsense of the times. What is the Rambam saying? Not people who forget HaKadosh Baruch Hu because they want to forget HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Most people don't want to forget HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They forget HaKadosh Baruch Hu because they're caught up with every other stupid thing in their life. Havalei hazman, nonsensical things of the time. People have 101 reasons why they can't come study Torah at night. Why? All of them are good reasons, but they're not really good reasons. Not to judge somebody. Some people really have good reasons. Their mother's in a hospital, they have to do it, fine. Some people, it's, because I need, and they end up sitting at home doing nothing anyways. A lot of us do that. We're going to sleep through Shachrit because we really need an extra hour of sleep. But let me just check my emails, and you find yourself an hour later, you're on Facebook. You didn't even sleep. So why did you skip Shachrit? Because we get caught up Havalei Azman, the time, the things that go on in time. They distract us. V'shogim kol shnatam behevel varik. And they waste their whole life, years, days, in emptiness and nothingness. Asher lo yo'il v'lo yatzil. That won't help you. It's not going to save you. You're going to come and Kippurim. Oh, Hashem, I did all this. Nothing. What did I do? Look, if you go to your phone, I won't start. I don't know if all the phones do this, but if you go there... Second, I'll find it. Call time on my phone. In the current period. It's a lifetime of this phone. Since I got this phone, I've spoken on the phone for 2 days and 11 hours.
Wow.
Where is that?
I'm embarrassed on camera. If you go to on my phone, you go to settings and cellular, at the bottom of cellular, call time. Since when this phone was activated, a year and something ago, 2 days, 2.5 of those days were on the phone talking to people.
2 days, how many hours?
11 hours.
You beat me by 1 hour.
I beat you by now. Look at that.
Well, the thing is, you're talking to people and
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not saying. So, hold on, very good. It could be that a lot of who we talk to on the phone is a mitzvah. You talk to your patients, it's a mitzvah. You're talking to your members of Bethesda, it's a mitzvah. You talk to your parents, it's a mitzvah. Fine, okay, I'm not saying. But did you know the 2.5 days of your life you've spent on the phone? Now imagine if you add TV and you add the radio, you add driving, you add movies, you add eating.
But you're also multitasking.
Do you know how embarrassed a person might get? It's not that you should stop eating and stop drinking, but a person doesn't even realize how much of their time is spent on all kinds of things that you never think about.
Wow. Yeah.
There's also the thing of preparation, like it says when
4 hours.
Avraham Avinu went up
Where does it say it?
on the mountain to offer his son Yitzchak, he had to prepare the wood and carry the water and put it on the donkey and then tie his son and then there's always preparations for things.
Fine, I'm willing to say that not all of it is Averot, but it's definitely time that you think you have. You think you have a lot of time, but you don't really have a lot of time.
No, you don't.
Now this is we're wasting our time, not maliciously bad behavior, simply empty behavior. You know, it could be that sitting on YouTube is not a mitzvah and it's not an avirah, but it's a waste of time. I mean, the opportunities that you had to do mitzvot, to learn Torah, we lost. והביטו דרככם ומעלליכם ויעזוב כל אחד מכם דרכו הרעה ומחשבתו אשר לא טובה. And every person should stop and look at their actions and examine themselves and leave their bad thoughts and their evil actions. לפיכך צריך כל אדם, and therefore the Rambam says every person needs שיראה עצמו כל השנה, that a person should see himself the whole year כולה כאילו חציו זכאי וחציו חייב, as if you are always half righteous and half evil. וכן כל העולם חציו זכאי וחציו חייב, and the whole world you should see as if it's half good and half evil. חטא חטא אחד, and if you do one action, this teaching has been perverted by a denomination today about bringing Mashiach. The Rambam doesn't talk about this in the context of bringing the Mashiach. He mentions saving the world in terms of what the Rambam says before, that the world, like the generation of Noach, will be destroyed. But saving the world is simply to continue the existence of the world. It's not. Don't allow people to take books that don't belong to them and interpret them incorrectly. If a person does one chet, he chiyat atzmo v'et kol olam kol kaf chova v'gam lo shchata. A person caused the whole world to tilt onto the side of evil, and them and the whole world now, God forbid, goes to destruction. Asa mitzvah echad, a person does one mitzvah, harei hichriya et atzmo v'et kol olam kulo l'kav zechut. He's now tilted the world the other direction, to goodness, v'garam lo v'nem tshu'ah v'atzara, and it caused them salvation. Shneimar v'tzadik zoket. U'mipnei inyan zeh, and because of this, nahagu kol bet Yisrael, it's the custom of the Jewish people, leharbot b'tzedakah u'ma'asim tovim, to increase tzedakah and good deeds, v'lasok b'mitzvot, and to really get involved in mitzvot, mi Rosh Shana v'ad Yom HaKippurim yoter mikol hashana. To be involved in Judaism between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippurim more than the rest of the year. I mean, don't think that it's a hypocritical behavior. I saw someone write an article last year. All these hypocrites between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippurim, they all pretend they're righteous. Come on. At least for 10 days out of the calendar, people are trying to be righteous. Let them be. It's like the minhag about standing up for the 10 Commandments. The Rambam says it's not a good minhag. Either you stand up for the Torah the whole time, or you sit down. You can't make one part of the Torah more important than the other part of the Torah. But, says Rabbi Yonatan Halevy, if you see people standing up for the 10 Commandments, don't tell them anything. Why? He said, think about the fact that this might be the only time of year where anybody listens to what's being read in the Torah. Like, these are the people that normally talk during Torah reading. So now they're standing up and listening. Why would you tell them to sit down and continue talking? You have to sometimes look at the world. Okay, there are people now. ונהגו כולם לקום בלילה ב10 ימים אלו, and everyone has the custom in these 10 days to wake up at night ולהתפלל בבתי כנסיות, and to pray in the בתי כנסת בדברי תחנונים וכיבושין עד שיאור היום, in prayers of תחנונים, סליחות, this is the custom of סליחות, until the day becomes bright. I saw a fool yesterday on the internet, right? That it's an Ashkenazi custom to wake up at midnight to pray stichot. What is Sfaradim doing? We used to do in the morning. He doesn't know what he's talking about. First of all, if it was an Ashkenazi custom, what's bad? Is it bad midnight? No. But you find the Rambam says people used to wake up, go to the Bekesset at midnight, and then they go back to sleep till 10 o'clock in the morning afterwards. They woke up, they went to the Bekesset at midnight, and they studied and prayed until sunrise, where they prayed Shacharit and went to work. That's what they did in the 10 days of Teshuvah. That's a terrific minhag. If a person is able to do it. Ben Shchai writes that in Baghdad, that's what they would do at midnight. The people who were really servants of Hashem, they would wake up at midnight and go say Tikkun Chatzot in the synagogue, the midnight prayer. And they would study with the rabbi of the community up until sunrise. And at sunrise they would pray Shacharit, and then they would go work. Because when did they go to sleep? 6 as soon as the sun went out. So you're not going to sit up with candles. You don't have lights destroy the world. They would go to sleep at 6. So by the time midnight rolls around, they got a good 6 hours. So the Ben Ish Chai, the lazy people rolled in at 2 o'clock in the morning. Not like the bums of the community showed up for sunrise Shacharit. It's the opposite of the way our world looks today. But this was the minhag. To spend time to really think, to do teshuvah, to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The piyutim that we sing in Tzlichot, that we do in Rosh Hashanah Kippurim, these are not normal songs. If one spends the time, it's really hard in English because you get thrown off a little bit by the iniquities and the guilt and the sins and there's no words over there that throw you off a little bit. Yeah, they make you feel like you're reading some King James version of Tzlichot. But if you know enough Hebrew to know the Hebrew word, chata'im, avonot, you know what it's talking about. And you think about some of these words. It can't be that you don't cry in some of these words. It can't be that these words don't penetrate a person. There's a famous Ashkenazi Chacham, right now his name I'm forgetting, he lived a few hundred years ago, that he made a very strong push in his community that they should say the Sephardic high holiday services. Why? Do you know, by the way, who wrote most of the Ashkenazi high holiday services? Or Sfaradim. Rabbi Yonatan Halevy, Rabbi Avram Ibn Ezra. Most of those songs were written by Sfaradim. Many by Ashkenazim too. I'm not taking away, but they're like the medieval Spanish poetry took over the Ashkenazi Siddur. Sfaradim, we don't do those things. Most of them we don't do. Why? It's a fascinating case study of how Jewish history changes and how people adopt different things. But if you read that poetry, especially the medieval Ashkenazi poetry, you will not understand a word that you are saying. And then if you're a Hebrew speaker who speaks Hebrew your whole life, and you know how to read, and you know how to understand, and maybe if you have a PhD in the Hebrew language, you may begin to understand a little bit of what's being said there. Because the Hebrew that is being used is it's like, I'm not trying to compare, like reading Shakespeare English. It's not the same as reading regular English. And there are a lot of references to other words or to other teachings. For example, the Ashkenazi rabbis were expecting the people who read their poetry to know that when they use a certain word, they're referring in this line to a piece of the Talmud, and in that line somewhere in Tanakh, and to this line somewhere in the Halakha, and to this line. And so when you read this poem, it should remind you of all the things you've learned in the whole year. But what if you're like us, you didn't learn all those things before? You don't know what they're talking about.
It's called an acrostic.
Yes.
You're condensing information from wide sources.
But it's exactly what Chachamei Ashkenaz do. So if you look in the art scroll and their machzor, and they start to give you sources for all these things, I don't know, by the way, who the person is who was able to find all those sources. If you would give me the task of having to translate those songs, I would not be able to. Who knows? I know. But the problem is that it's very difficult, and for example, Ashkenazi Slichot. They say Slichot for the week before Rosh Hashanah. But what's special about Ashkenazi Slichot? What's different than Sephardic Slichot? Forget the tunes. In the terms of the text.
You have the Kel Rachums in there.
The difference between Ashkenazi and Sephardic Slichot is that in the Ashkenazi tradition, you change the text of Slichot every single day. Every day is a new order of Slichot. It's not like Ba'az, you start it doesn't work like that. Every single day there are new songs. Written for the Sunday of Slichot, or for the Monday of Slichot, or for the Tuesday of Slichot. Which means you only have 1 week to say them, and every day is a new one. So what you finally understood yesterday, today is a whole new thing. It's a very difficult, if you want to comprehend what it is you're saying. The Sephardic Slichot and the Rosh Hashanah prayers, this is what this Chacham of Ashkenaz was saying. Nobody accepted what he said. He said are palatable, able to understand all these words. So the basic Hebrew you're able to understand. Lecha eli teshukati, to you my God I am. Lecha cheshki ve'avati, I desire you, I love you, I want you. It's a very romantic song, and then full of submission. I'm going to bow to you. I'm going to Shema Kodesh Asher Yishma Bekonot. Listen to my voice, like you heard the voice of all these tzaddikim. These are very simple explanations of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Adon HaSelichot, the master of slicha, of forgiveness. Bochen levavot. What are levavot? Hearts. He who sees the hearts. Gole amukot. What's amok? What does that word mean? Amok.
Deep.
Deep. Very good. He who can reveal what is deep. Dover tzedakot. What is dover? The daber. What does that word mean?
Speak.
To speak. And what is tzedakah or tzedakot? Righteousness. Good act. Who's able to speak good things about it, able to say good things about it. The words are understandable to a person who will give a few minutes of their time to understand the tefillot. When you're about to blow the shofar and you're thinking about the words, it's a time where the gates of righteousness will open. The one who is oked, the one who is sacrificing, who's that? Abraham. Hane'ekad, the one who's being sacrificed. Yitzchak. V'hamizbeach, and the altar. And there's a conversation here. You're preparing yourself for the blowing of the shofar. So you want to talk about the story. And you hear Yitzchak is begging his father. Yitzchak, finally the light bulb turns on. He realizes, he says, my father, where's the animal? And he says, don't worry, Hashem will get. And then he says, oh, I get it. It's going to be me. And Yitzchak begins to beg his father to please go through and kill him. And then there's one chapter that every year we get to this, and I can't. It's too much. And he tells Avraham Avinu, I just have a message for my mother. Imagine. He knows he's going to be killed by his father. Tell my mother that her joy is going to be leaving the world. Tell her, what does he say? He says, how can I bear the pain of a mother who will be crying over her child? How can I tell her that I love her anyway? And then you hear the angels will begin to speak. The angels are saying, how could you kill Yitzchak? Hashem, how could you do this? How is there going to be a world with no moon? Yitzchak is a moon, Avraham is the sun, radiating his holiness to Yitzchak. Said Hashem, what's going to be with a world that has no moon? Then immediately at that point in the story, a ram comes in, and this is what we're essentially telling the community, and this is why we're blowing the shofar now. This shofar is like the leftover piece that we have from this story. And we're reminding HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when a person sits down and understands the piyutim that you're going to sing here in Rosh Hashanah Kippurim, and they're very repetitive. The slichot you're going to say now for 40 days, you're going to say them a dozen or so times on Yom Kippurim. Those slichot, these are things to remember, to understand, and then your whole experience is going to be different.
So there's a midrash that his mother passed away
from this.
Hearing
Now, not all the midrashim agree, by the way, to this, but yeah, there is a midrash that says this. By the way, that language that the Paitan uses, sisona parach, her joy has left. It's the same word we use when a soul leaves the body. Could be alluding to this midrash. That meaning, I know that through my death, her soul will leave her body. It's almost it's like a reaction. The tefillot, and again, if a person is able with any tradition, that's why I encourage very much people should use machzorim that have Hebrew and English in them. Yes, the language can throw you off sometimes, but to understand what you're saying, to know what you're going through, and don't wait until Yom Kippurim to do it. You don't have time when it's Ne'ilah and you have 45 minutes till sunset. You don't have time to, you don't have time to remember the words now. You have to do this already a few days before Yom Kippurim, to prepare the machzor, to know, now, this is what we're thinking now, I know the words, and to go through it. It's an opportunity you have to connect to something. But the Rambam mentions that this is the time. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippurim is the time when we pray. When the Jewish community does things that are extra. We add things to what we normally do. And it's a positive minhag, it's a positive thing. It does not show hypocrisy, it shows who we really are. And to be able to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not a simple thing. But it's even harder because this time we're not praying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for abstract things. Oh, Hashem, give health to the world, give happiness to the world. They're not praying for stuff like that. This time we're praying for real things. Ani, answer, not ani with an aleph, me. Ani, then ayin. Answer me, the poor one. Shifan kol ha-shifanim, the lowest of all the low people. Answer, I know Hashem who I am. I'm not hiding from you, Yom Kippur.
Sukkot, we pray for those things that we ask for.
Sukkot, we pray for Sukkot, we pray, right? It's interesting. On Sukkot we also say slichot, like on Hoshana Rabbah.
Right.
Yeah, but we switch around the slichot. We skip all the sad parts of the slichot. The self-deprecating parts of the slichot are not there. Like we'll say certain parts of the slichot, but not all of them. On Sukkot you're praying for a much bigger picture. Also on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah you're praying mostly for the world. On the countries, on the kingdoms, on the many of the tefillot we say for the Sukkot, for the rain and for the dew and for whatever else we're praying for the farmers, for the travelers, for all. Yom Kippurim, it hits home. It's like, talking about me. I have to pray for myself. Yom Kippurim is like when Hashem says, if the oxygen masks have to come out, you have to put on yours before you help somebody else. You need it. You have to take care of yourself too. And this is an old minhag of the Jewish people. And you find throughout the ages, different communities have had different customs on how they do it. Different communities have different songs. They've written different things that talk to them, that touch them. Go to an Ashkenazi community, the highlight of the services is going to be Unetane Tokef. This it's a frightening story of Amnon of Mins and being cut into pieces. And
the Sephardim picked up on it too.
some Sephardim do this stuff, but a very small number. We less because it's an Ashkenazi thing, and more because the origins of this prayer are very shady. And more likely than not, it has Catholic origins. This prayer. It's the highlight of the Ashkenazi holidays. But there have been many scholarly articles written on Tanei Tokef, and there too many parallels to other things. Also, the things we ask for in this tefillah are very different than what we ask for in the rest of the year. A lot of death and graphic images of that kind of death. And okay, listen, for some people, this is what makes it. The 10 massacres, the 10 martyrs. We don't have that in our services, but for other communities, this is the highlight of service. And every community has created for itself a way in which it brings that community into the mood of the high holidays. For some people, it's the na 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 na. You're like, whoa, Rosh Hashanah is here. Yeah, wow, that's incredible. For other people, it's a different feeling. But every community has created it, and none of them are right or wrong. These are all things that communities have done with the same purpose in mind. The purpose to wake up. Wake up, you sleepyheads from your slumber.
We don't do it.
We don't know.
When I was in Los Angeles.
It's in the back of our mahzor. It has an appendix there.
When I was in a Sephardic synagogue in Los Angeles before I moved here, they did it.
Again, you're going to find Sephardim don't really have a tune for Tanei Tokef. There are different tunes suggested, but it's because it's not really our piyut.
And they don't put it in the middle, they stick it before doing the repetition.
If you remember what we sing instead of Tanei Tokef, the last song of Slichot that we sing. The last 4 stanzas, actually the 3 and skipping the last one. We say that in the place where Ashkenazim have Tanei Tokef. That's the tefillah. Which is again about having compassion and getting rid of our avirot and whatever else. It's interesting that you'll note that on Rosh Hashanah we don't have that last part about Hashem, hold on to my avirot, because we don't talk about avirot on Rosh Hashanah. You don't do one vidui on Rosh Hashanah. Something to think about. And the 5th halakha.
Charger?
Are you guys going to see Aaron?
What?
Are you going to see Aaron?
We do the halakha.
Okay, so an example, for example, of Avirah that will tip the scales. I'm skipping this next halakha, pretty much halfway through the 5th halakha. Habenonim, those who are 50-50. Im haya bichlal mechza avonot shelehen, if included in their avirot, shelo hiniach tefillin me'olam, that they never once put tefillin on their head. Danin oto kefi chito. They judge him to the side of guilt. But he still maintains his portion in the world to come. Why? That which we say that people have 50 mitzvot, 50% avirot. And we mentioned not just quantitatively, but qualitatively. The avirah of not wearing tefillin on their head is called what the Gemara mentions, Posh'ei Yisrael begufan. Those who have acted against the Jewish people in their body, not just in their actions. What is that? Says the Gemara, Karkafta de la manach tefillin me'olam. That's a head that has never worn tefillin in its life. Maran doesn't like that it's so clear cut. Just a tefillin is that person doesn't wear tefillins because that they're going to Gehenna. Maran quotes a few opinions. It's like a person. He brings the Ran. The Ran says a person never read Shema Yisrael if they never made Birkat Hamazon. Rabbeinu Hananel, Maran quotes, says Dafka kshenimna me'anicha mechmat shemitzvah b'zuya b'einav. This is only a person who never wore tefillin because he hates his mitzvah. He doesn't like his mitzvah. אבל אם אינו נמנע מהניחם אלא מפני שהם צריכים גוף נקי והוא ירא שמא לא יוכל להיזהר בהם, אין זה בכלל פוגע ישראל בגופם. Let's say he doesn't wear them because he knows his body needs to be especially clean and he doesn't want to be clean. Whatever reason he doesn't wear them for another reason, then that's not considered a person who this avera would go against everything he did good.
By the way, is Rabbi T coming to check tefillin this year?
I don't ever bring Rabbi to bring check tefillin. If a person wants to check their tefillin, they're welcome to go wherever you guys check tefillin. Also, so wherever you go to check tefillin, we don't. So this is not exactly the way the Rambam is saying it, but fine. וכן כל הרשעים שעוונותיהם מרובים דנים אותם כפי חטאיהם. And all the Rashayim that have the majority of Averot, they judge them according to their chet. ויש להם חלק במבא, but they have a portion of the world to come. שכל ישראל יש להם חלק במבא, because all of Israel has a portion of the world to come. אף על פי שחטאו, even though they've sinned, שנאמר like it says, ועמך כולם צדקים, לעולם יש הארץ, that your people are tzadikim, they'll inherit the land forever, meaning Am Yisrael always is going to have a portion of the world to come. But they could still be considered Rashayim when it comes to judging them. Who does not have a portion of the world to come? And this is who we're going to start discussing next week. I'll read it to you, and we'll discuss the details of these categories next week, because we don't want to be included in these categories. אלא שאין להם חלק במבא, אלו נחרטים ועובדים ונדונים על גודל רשעם וחטאתם לעולם ולעולמי עולמים. Says the Rambam, these are the people who lose a portion of what will come. What does that mean? Unlike all the other Jews in the world who do averot, when you do an avera and you do teshuvah, or you do an avera and you die, and then for whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu demands from your soul afterwards, at the end of the day, this neshama will go to Gan Eden. But there are certain people that will never have that opportunity. Their neshama simply is destroyed and sent out of the world. It doesn't go back recycled. It's done. It's out of the cycle. Haminim, the Rambam is going to use like a bunch of different words that we would translate in English the same way. So we're going to have to wait until next week where he explains the difference between them. The minim are heretics, the pikosin are the heretics, the kofrim and the heretics.
Yeah, I see the difference.
You see the difference, right? HaKofrim b'Torah, there are those who are kofrim, they rebel against the Torah, they don't believe in the Torah. Kofrim b'tchiyat hametim, there are those who believe in the Torah, but they don't believe in the resurrection of the dead. U'v'biyat hagoel, they don't believe in the coming of a Mashiach. Hamordim, those who are rebellious. What does it mean rebellious? Not anybody who rebels, a certain kind of rebel. U'machtiyei harabim, those who cause other people to do chet. So if some person has an yetzara, they do avirot, that's fine. But if they went around and caused other people to do avirot, that's no longer the same person as an individual who needs to do tshuva. They're not responsible for thousands of chataim. Says the Rambam, they're unable, they don't have a portion of the world to come. Haporshim midachei tzibur, those who separate themselves from the way of the community. That's not so simple. Not like, you decided minchaz at 6 and they show up at 7. It's not so simple what it means, separate from the community. Haoseh averot biyad rama befarhesia, those who do averot publicly and to upset other people. Kiyoyakim, like Yehoyakim. Last night I told you should learn Tanakh. Go Google him. You have people who do averot. There's something they're embarrassed of. They're not proud. The whole world knows they do averot. You have other people that they want everyone to know just how much they hate Hashem, how much they hate Torah Mitzvot. Those people lose their portion of the world to come. V'hamosrim. What are Muslim? They give people away. Who? What?
Informers?
Informers. Those who rat out other Jews to the authorities in a way where it's not correct. The concept of Mesirah changes depending on the government you have, depending on the laws you have, depending on the people that are involved in the story. It's not people use, you can't ever report someone to the police. Chas v'shalom, that's not the truth. You have to know where you're living in Zaris, Russia, and they're looking for a Jew to hang. You're like, I don't like my next door neighbor, let's give his name in. That's a Moseh. Umitilei yema l'tzibur, shelo l'shem shamayim. Those who scare the community, but not for the sake of heaven. They terrorize the Jewish community. How do you terrorize the Jewish community for the sake of heaven? Next week. V'shofchei damim, those who murder people. Ba'alei lashon hara, and those people who are masters of lashon hara. That's what they are, lashon hara people, not those who say that they're. You want to get the scoop on anybody? They call it Yiddish like a yente. That's the one who knows everything about everybody. And the last one is a very strange category because the poskim differ tremendously on what it means. Hamoshech orlato, someone who pulls his foreskin. Literally, according to the Gemara, many people could undo their brit milah.
In Greece, they used to have a reverse surgery for that.
Okay, so something Rabbi David, I recall one of the grandkids of the Rambam writing about this in Egypt, and I don't remember now where. I don't remember where I saw it. I just don't remember what exactly he said. Chacham Ovadia Yosef quotes him in a commentary in Pirkei Avot, in his book Anaf Avot. He quotes one of the grandchildren of the Rambam who discusses the definition of this. Some could include in this category, if you want to define it very loosely, those who are embarrassed of being Jewish. You know Jews like that? Or you've heard of Jews like that? Meaning, it's okay, you don't want to be religious, you don't want to be... You hate the Jewish people so much that you will do anything to not affiliate with them. Moshech, but that person... Now the Rambam is going to give us halachic definitions of these people. Let me just see this... Next week we'll discuss the details of here. But suffice it to say, what the Rambam is setting us up for is not everybody just gets to, do tshuva and walk away and their story's over. There are some avirot that a person does, and obviously you have to discuss, did they know that what they were doing beforehand, if they had no idea that what they were doing was an avirah, now they became aware of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world, and it's not the same thing. But there are people who can opt out of teshuvah, or lose out on the opportunity of teshuvah. Or at least it will be very difficult for them to do teshuvah, because they're facing something much greater. They were involved in an avirah that we believe has overshadowed everything that they have done good in their life. I'm not comparing a person that you know to this, but like we mentioned, there you can find all the evil people in the world had something they did that was potentially positive. Hitler, Yimach Shmo V'Zichro, was an animal rights activist. Doesn't make a difference. He was the epitome of evil. And therefore, even if he had soup kitchens and he was, saving children, whatever he would be doing, it would not help him. It's not like he gets a little bit of mitzvot for that's not how it works. His averot simply overshadow anything that he possibly could have done good. You could also find sometimes the other way. It's not a goal. Don't have a plan now. Like, I'm going to do all the averot in the world and I have one mitzvah that's going to save me. But you sometimes have, the Gemara mentions the story of Yesh koneh olamo b'shar echad. There's a person who in one moment got their next world. Remember there's a famous story? I think it's Rabbi Chanina ben Teradion. He's being skinned by the Romans. Or is this Rabbi Akiva? I don't remember. One of the stories of the martyrs, the being murdered by the Romans. And he asked him, please just move away the sponge of water from my heart so I could die quicker. And he does. And he dies, and immediately a voice comes from heaven and says, also this executioner, they call him rabbi, so on, so like he's already a tzaddik, and he's, yesh koneh. There's some people that have to work their whole life and be burned alive in order to get their next world, and some people just with a little action, they redeem themselves. It's kind of like you find after we read the Megillah, so Ashkenazim have a song, Shoshanat Yaakov, Shoshanat Yaakov. Sfaradim have it, but not in a song format. The formula is the same, Sfaradim and Ashkenazim. There is Baruch Mordechai, blesses Mordechai, Brucha Esther, blesses Esther, Arur Haman, Arur Hashverosh, Arur Zeresh, Arur Vashti, have all the bad people, and then you have, last but not least, Vegam Charvona Zachulato. And you also have Charvona who's remembered for good. Who's Charvona? He's not the leader of the Sanhedrin, he's not the greatest rabbi degenerate. Charvona, he's the one, remember Hashverosh that Haman, he built this thing to hang Mordechai. Remember him? Why don't you just hang Haman over there? That little action where he got Haman hung in the place where Mordechai was supposed to get hung, that's enough for the rest of Jewish history. Remember, v'gam charvona zachulato. Also charvona. In one action that he took, he redeemed himself, so to speak, from the rest of the evil. Also part of
fulfilled the biblical mitzvah, which is to destroy Amalek.
correct. I don't think Haman is even Jewish. But simply, he redeemed himself. He showed that he was different than everybody else. There was an article I once saw about Schindler's List, and how maybe Oskar Schindler wasn't the saint that you think he was. And someone asked me that, and I don't remember. So please, I'm not saying now like my opinion on the matter. I don't remember all the details there. What I do remember is, regardless of whether you want to paint him as a saint or not, it's not an incorrect thing to say. V'gam Schindler zachulato. He did do something positive for Am Yisrael. You could say he had ulterior motives, or he chose certain people, and other. Fine, but there are a lot of people who had the choices that he had, and they chose not to get involved at all, not to just to watch Am Yisrael get destroyed. I feel people very often are critical of certain characters throughout our history, and not everyone has to be completely righteous for you to say they did something positive for the world. And part of that is Yichot Teshuvah, and it always goes back to when you stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who are you? Are you the totally righteous one that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was going to say, oh, but they did a little bit of averot. Even the mitzvot they did was for an ulterior motive. They only respected their parents because they wanted that inheritance they were going to get after. You want to be the one scrutinized like that? Or you want to be the one who says, you know what, I'll take mitzvot wherever they come from, and you also judge me like that when I stand in front of you. That's the attitude. And it's not so clear-cut. Who is a Rasha? Who is a tzaddik? And one has to have a lot of doubt and to know at the end of the day it's the Creator. Bochen levavot, the one who knows what actually goes on in a person's heart. You can judge me, but you don't know what I went through in that decision. You don't know how difficult something was for me. Sometimes you see a person, you think they're a bad person, but if you had to start where they started, you would never even be where they're standing right now. And so HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows that. You don't know that.
You see the Kitsonia, but not the Penigim.
Very good, and that's exactly it. The only one, Al tieh dan yichidi, what does the Pirkei Avos say? Don't judge people on your own. Ki en dan yichidi el echad. The only one who can judge alone is one. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He knows. Everybody else doesn't know. You don't know. But that ambiguity, that vagueness, also gives us a certain level of protection when it comes to Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. So, we should go in peace and come out in peace.